We are live. Let me refresh my Twitch so I can see us as we are live. It's kind of taking a second. Maybe we're not there yet. But hello, everyone. Welcome to the Newsfloor. I'm back. It's me. It's Valerie. Every week, this is where we show up on Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Pacific time to go over all things going on in dance music. I typically like to start by talking about the news, some of the big headlines of what's going on in not only the world of dance music, but usually also live music and events. There's been a lot of updates lately because we are nearing the light at the end of the tunnel and things are starting to open up. So I have some really interesting news about a certain big rave that had to postpone very recently, as of yesterday. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And what other news do we have on the headlines? Some other kind of sad news on the BBC side of things. I don't know if you guys follow any of the big figures on the BBC side. Obviously, it's a little more of a global UK approach since they are based out in London, but some of the big figures over at Radio 1, which is definitely kind of a flagship radio platform for all things new music. Some big changes happening over there. And new music coming up later. There's some really good stuff. Hey Blake, nice to see you. Some big new tunes. I feel like today's theme is NFTs, if I do say so myself. Probably for anyone who's been paying attention to the music and NFT space. I feel like NFTs are just like the theme of everything nowadays. But we have not only new tunes from Rez and Deadmau5 coming out very soon, that is also coming in with a NFT release. But my own guest today, his name is Abana. I know him better as Sahil, a friend of mine, a very talented DJ and producer. I wanted to have him on this week because he actually also just released a big NFT drop yesterday, and he has been super active in the space as well. Blake here in chat, known as Proximity, also big in the NFT space. So everyone's getting into it. We've all been trying to pay attention. I mean, I've been trying to pay attention and like follow the conversation. I know a lot of it's happening on Clubhouse, a lot on Twitter. And I figured I would just have someone on and ask him all the questions that I've already been asking him in our, private WhatsApp chat. So, it's the topic of the season. So we're just going to chat about it. It'll be fun. So he'll be signing on in a little bit, but before we get to the chat with Abana, I wanted to get into the news of this week. There is some crazy stuff happening this week. Let's start with the big one. Kind of sad, kind of expected. EDC Las Vegas is moving to October. I kind of honestly personally saw this one coming from a mile away. Definitely still sad. I know a lot of us were really looking forward to EDC kind of being the big return. They announced actually at the end of March, just a few weeks ago, Pasquale, who is the head of all things at Insomniac, which is the promoter, of course, behind EDC. He originally came out and announced that EDC was coming back and they were going to be the first major music event to kind of mark the return of live events post-COVID. And this happened again at the end of March, and they announced that the show was going to come back May 21st to 23rd, which is pretty wild because there was like literally, I don't even know, like barely a month of time to, get your tickets, plan your flights, book your hotel, and obviously a lot of people have to ask off like work for EDC. As Blake is saying here, hard to go from 0 to 100. Also hard to justify a 200,000 capacity event because totally they were not really going to cut back on capacity as far as I know. And of course, the big news today, or as of yesterday, is that now the event has officially been postponed. There was a few weeks of excitement. A lot of people were saying that, they were making all the plans, booking the flights, even though there was a lot of controversy around the event actually even announcing that they were coming back. I think a lot of people, especially on the music industry and live event side of it, were definitely really hesitant about it because the event did not plan to have any sort of vaccine or testing restrictions, which obviously it's a bit, sensitive. Obviously, it depends on if you want to get your vaccine or not. But health and safety is supposed to be the number one priority of all of these event promoters. And yeah, a few weeks later, Pasquale just posted on Instagram. As he, originally they expected everything to go along swimmingly. The Nevada state officials announced that they would actually lift social distancing requirements as of May 1st, which is why they said that they were able to plan ahead for EDC at the end of May. But apparently, as of literally Friday of last week, they had a meeting with Las Vegas's police, fire, medical, and other agencies that are involved in EDC and planning out the details around the event. But as of yesterday, Clark County, which is home of EDC, and the venue, which is the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, they passed a new reopening plan that requires 60% of their residents to be vaccinated before restrictions over large-scale gatherings like an EDC can be lifted. So that, of course, means that EDC, being that they have no control over how fast people get vaccinated, we're kind of forced to put a pause on the event moving forward. And to me, this part is kind of interesting because I definitely believe that Insomniac was intending to go full steam ahead with the event. And I do believe that, they do their due diligence. They have a great relationship with the city. And to me, this almost sounds like Clark County almost had this conversation in response to hearing that EDC was going to be planning this event. So I'm not sure actually how aligned they were with the actual county that they were going to be having the event in, because it seems to me that they probably saw the announcement going ahead and then they decided to pass a new plan that requires this higher vaccination percentage before allowing large event restrictions, or allowing the restriction to be lifted for a larger event. So, I mean, it's definitely sad news, I think, for some. And honestly, I felt the worst for fans who were the ones that kind of took the beating here, because they were the ones that spent their money on those tickets and spent their money on flights that a lot of the times now are not really, not returnable. They're not refundable. So, hopefully they can get money back for some of the hotels and stuff. But, it's very frustrating for fans, and I do feel for them. So definitely not great news. But now EDC's new dates are going to be October 24th and 23rd. And they are now kind of falling into that time frame where a bunch of events are now happening in August, September, and October. It'll be interesting to see which is the first new event. I think Life is Beautiful will probably be the first new event in Las Vegas, at least. I know that they are announced for August currently, so it'll be interesting to see. And for those who did buy tickets, they have the option to either transfer to the new dates or elect to get a refund, depending on what works best. So sorry if you're an EDC fan. Sorry if you were planning on going. Yeah, it's a shitty situation. And I feel like it's one of those things where no one really knows what's going to happen. And it's always going to be risky for the people that are trying to do it first. And interestingly, also related to this, I was trying to find the video, the original trailer that EDC announced that when they were originally coming back to do EDC in May. And it was a little bit of a controversial video, I will say, because the way that they formatted it, for those who remember it, or hopefully you watch it, but they have actually deleted it since. But the video was formatted in a way that kind of made it seem a little like they were focusing on the wrong things, because they had this like little montage of all these news clips talking about like COVID shutting everything down, like the economy is tanking, like da-da-da. And then it was a clip of Pasquale on his Instagram Live going, I'm determined to be the very first event back, like once this is all over. And then it was like announcing that EDC was coming back in May. And I was like, well, I totally understand. Like there's definitely a bit of pride involved in wanting to plant your flag and be like, we were the first ones back. But I feel like if that's the number one thing that you're kind of talking about in your trailer video, trying to express that to people, like that's why you're coming back. I don't know, maybe we're focusing on the wrong things, but either way, EDC's coming back in October, so we'll see them then. I'm excited for that whenever it happens. Okay, now over to the world of Radio Land. This was the big news this week in the world of dance. For those who are not familiar with BBC Radio 1, it is a super influential platform for all of like a global dance music perspective. And there are a couple kind of radio hosts over there that really champion and are the voice of BBC Radio 1, Pete Tong being one of probably the most visible ones. He's kind of like the Papa Bear of all things dance music. And the other would be Annie Mac. So Annie Mac is considered a veteran, a legacy broadcaster, and she actually shared the news just yesterday on April 20th that she will be leaving Radio 1, as you can see this headline, after 17 long years, which is pretty crazy. That's a really long legacy. And it's definitely sad because she is best known for her music show, where she has been the one who's kind of put forward new tunes on weeknights from 6 to 8 p.m. over in London. And her journey at BBC Radio 1 is really amazing because, oh my God, Proximity Blake, thanks for subscribing. But her journey at BBC Radio 1 is really amazing because she actually started as a broadcast assistant back in 2002, and she kind of worked her way up the ranks, and she started her own show on Thursday nights back in 2004, and just has since become this like totally legendary name. And it's gonna be sad. It's gonna be sad to see her go. Her last show will be in July. Her plan after, she mentioned in her post that she doesn't plan to be done with radio forever, but she does want to focus on, I believe she said she wanted to focus on, having more time to see her kids in the evening since they're both in school, wanting more time to write fiction and create podcasts. And I like this line about, she loved the idea of leaving the party with a huge smile on her face, like leaving the party when it's at its peak, because she really, really has done amazing work. And as you can see, even here on Twitter, there's huge artists thanking her for the support that they've given, or that she's given them over the years, from Disclosure to Netsky, A-Track, Tensnake, Bicep, all the folks that have really come up over the past few years. And a lot of that can be accredited to Annie Mac's support. So her last show is going to happen on July 30th, which will end her 17-year run. The next host that will take over after that is a lovely lady named Clara Amfo. So that's going to start September 2021. So the sad news from Annie Mac. We will miss her very much. All right. Other news this week that was happening was that it was actually the 3-year anniversary of the passing of Avicii, which was really sad, honestly. Interestingly enough, I was at a friend's birthday over this weekend, and we were having a really good time reminiscing, listening to like early 2010s EDM hits and bangers, and obviously there were a lot of Avicii tunes in there. So that was really fun, and I didn't realize until I saw some posts this week that it was the 3-year anniversary of his death, and I found that this one was really interesting. Oliver Heldens actually went on his Twitter to share a little bit about himself, kind of related to remembering Avicii and his struggles with mental health. He was on his Twitter talking about his own experience with bipolar disorder, which I don't believe he's actually gone out in public before to talk about. So kudos to him, to actually kind of put that out there. And he talked a lot about it, not only being diagnosed, but talking about some of the episodes that he's gone through of just difficulties, coming into fame really quickly. As we can all remember, I believe it was I don't even know what year it was that he had like really big hits, but he was one of those people that really became a big name after just like having one big hit. He talked openly about having different episodes that even led to certain cancellations of his shows and made it difficult for him to tour, which definitely remind us a little bit about Avicii's story, because he retired at a really early age, and a lot of it was accredited at the time to being really burnt out by touring and just struggling mentally. And so it was really interesting, and I recommend you guys, if you haven't read his post, it's on his Twitter. He seems to be in a really positive place now, which is really great to hear. But he talked about, it's really hard for people who are diagnosed as bipolar to accept it. And it can be really difficult for people, not only privately to understand how to deal with it, but also, I think as being like a public figure, for people to understand that, artists who are working really hard and traveling a lot can also struggle with very personal things. So some interesting news, and I really appreciated all the other kind of like Avicii homages that came out over the week. Sad. I can't believe it's already been 3 years, but we remember him fondly. Okay, like I mentioned, a theme of this week, actually, it's a theme beyond just this week, but I think a theme that we have all recently been seeing a lot of here in the music scene is the theme of NFTs. And if you don't know what an NFT is, that's okay, because I barely know either. But that's why I wanted to bring on a friend of mine to talk about it, because not only did he recently release an NFT, but he also knows a lot about it. And this is all kind of a teaser for his upcoming new tracks. So I am happy to welcome our special guest, Abana, otherwise known as Sahil. Wait, I can't even press the button. Let me get him in here. Okay, there we go. Hi! Can I hear you? I can't hear you. This is what happens when we don't do a sound check before, but we're going to get him up and running.
I think I muted myself.
Wow, there he is. So crisp and so
there
clear.
It is.
Hi,
Ooh, that's a close
how are
up.
you?
Okay. I'm all right. Good to see you.
I feel like this angle always catches people off guard, but I like it.
I was like, oh,
frames
hey.
us really nicely. Yeah.
No,
like
it's all right.
Cut out like all the background, like in the room and all that stuff.
It's just curtains and Damien somewhere.
Damien, your dog. I love that.
Yeah.
I know it's really late for you joining from London, so I appreciate you hanging out, staying up late
of course.
for us.
Of course.
Okay.
Do it for the chat.
Do it for the chat. Do it for hanging out here as homies, but also I guess it's so funny. Like I know you as a homie, but I want to talk to you as Abana. Tell me a little bit about your recent exciting news that happened yesterday. I've already mentioned there was a big NFT drop, but it's also related to a track. So tell me about the whole package and how it came together.
So I'm sure like everybody's heard, NFTs kind of were the latest craze or trend or fad, what people might say, or some people see, like the kind of application to it outside of the art world. I have lived with two amazing flatmates that kind of have helped me learn a lot about the space. They've had some really successful drops and kind of really cool things they did with the playfulness of the technology that kind of like inspired me to kind of tie it together with a lot of the music I've been working on through COVID. And this track actually started as a collab with a friend of mine named Morpe from Bolivia. He sent me a clip of the sample and I kind of just like made the whole track instead of going back and forth. And this was like almost a year ago. Mm-hmm. And time flew by. He was working on other stuff. We started another track and he was like, yo, just keep it. You finish it really well. Just finish it and make it nice. So
yeah,
I worked on it for a bit, made it nice, tried to at least, and decided to kind of go through the NFT route to kind of, explore a new kind of avenue of how to release music. And originally I was going to just get vinyls printed and sell them on Bandcamp, try to get some more money because the gigs were stopped. Mm-hmm. And then I figured, I was like, why don't I tie this together with something that is new and kind of fun to play with, and kind of brought me to the NFT side of things, and kind of had a vision for, some graphics of the track. And the crazy part about it is how kind of organically it kind of came together with, I had the designer who's done all my branding, Michele, he's this amazing artist out of Luxembourg. And he's always smashes it with his illustrations. He's got some really cool stuff. And so I showed him the track, and I never kind of say like, hey, draw this. I kind of just say like, listen to the track and tell me how you feel, and just kind of put it out there. And he came up with the artwork that you can kind of see teased in the limited edition of 69. And I was like, all right, cool. Let's kind of play with this a bit. So I wanted to kind of tease that with NFT, you kind of get like a vinyl, and you kind of have that feeling of something physical alongside with the digital side of NFTs that people don't really understand yet, maybe, or can't kind of relate to.
Yeah.
And originally it was just going to be this piece, and then a friend of mine who I loved his stuff, he just got into NFTs as well as an illustrator and a designer, and showed him the piece, and he was like, yo, I think I could turn this into something. I like the inspiration from it. And we decided to do like a one-of-one collab of one of his characters, which is called the Soft Boy.
Oh, I love the soft boy. It's this guy.
And that brought us to the soft boy.
That's amazing.
Which I love. It makes me like, it's just like I feel like a little kid again when I see it.
I know, he's so cute. So we had a question. Blake from Proximity wants to know what platform this is on.
It is, this is actually out on Bitly.
Bitly.
Which was cool. It was a cool platform to work with. It's very easy, I think, as a creator. I've not released on any others, but I've seen kind of the back end of some of them. And it was cool. I didn't know what this piece is. A one-of-one auction, 24-hour auction. I had no idea what it was going to go for. We kind of just was like, hey, we started the bids at $4.20, you know, because why not?
Makes sense. Well, okay, let's break this down. I know you have quite a strong love affair with weed. So why did it feel right to not only, I mean, I guess obviously in the track you're celebrating in the name Sativa Jazz, but why did 420 feel like the right time to kind of release something like this?
You know, like for me, I've been smoking weed a long time. I used to have, or I still do have really, you know, kind of bad ADD. And when I was little, I was given like Ritalin and all this kind of stuff. And it kind of made me feel super crazy. Yeah. Like I was just like in my head. And, you know, I got older and started like smoking sativa that kind of like settled me out and was able to help me focus oddly enough. Yeah. And it's been my favorite type of weed. And then bring it to 420, you know, I think a lot of my friends I've met randomly, whether it's just like smoking a joint with them randomly at a party or an event or in a random setting. And sometimes I connected really well with just some of these people with the most casual conversation. And like, you know, Teo, you know, he's one of my best friends. And we met on the back of an art car at EDC. I know you're just talking about it. And 5 a.m., we're kind of rolling into Das Berlin, and our friend Noel was playing Drake on an art car with Pasquale, which was just like really odd. But I enjoyed it, obviously. Yeah. And he was like, yo, you're smoking a vape? And I was smoking a joint. And I was like, what up? He's like, hey. He's like, dude, do you mind if I hit the split? I was like, absolutely not. Go ahead.
Good memories.
And yeah, we've been best friends ever since, good friends ever since, you know?
Cute.
So all that kind of brought it to me. And then I was like, you know what? It's a fun day. I love weed, and a lot of the elements that come with it kind of portray that both like visually and physically as well. So like one of the pieces that comes with the NFT is these custom rolling papers.
Ooh, all right.
Which are kind of teased in the
big instead. Oh, see, this is what happens when I try and produce my show live. There you are.
Not bad. So there's that.
There we go.
Got a little back logo on it as well.
Oh, wow. Look at those custom ones.
And then in the inside, it's got a little saying from one of my favorite music producers.
What's that? Read it to us.
It says, sounds good, smells good.
Wow.
And yeah. So, I got that. And if you get the NFT, you get a limited pressing vinyl as well. So
amazing.
It'll be nice. Each vinyl is a one-of-one different vinyl as well. So
I have a lot of questions about like what goes into the, you know, I think it makes a lot of sense why musicians or producers are teaming up with artists, because there's always been a natural fit between like even the album artwork, right, can tell you a lot about what the track sounds like. And that was a big part of like when you would go to the record store and like pick up a record before you could even listen to it. You're like, this is the vibe of the track. So it definitely seems to make a lot of sense in that way. Something I'm curious about in the NFT space is there's this kind of like the limited edition side to it where you get to pick like, you know, I know one of yours has like only 3 available, others have 69 available. So what goes into the thought process on that side? Like, how do you pick which one gets to be the limited one and which one isn't?
So, you know, there's a lot of, I think Nifty Gateway is the most common one that, you know, kind of the bigger producers and DJs and celebrities have kind of released on. And I kind of looked at those and, you know, you see open editions, which, you know, are a collection that's based off how many are purchased in a certain amount of time. Mm-hmm. You have limited editions and you have auctions. And originally I said, yo, I'm going to do 100 vinyls, keep it simple, $69. That's the drop. You get a vinyl, you get an NFT. And then, like I said, like kind of earlier, organically, like I saw my friend's artwork and I was like, what if we did an auction as well? Like, let's try it. So we did that, and I was speaking to a friend of mine who was one of the collectors of one of these pieces as well. The guy actually won the 1 of 1. His name is Sven.
Soft boy.
Yeah, he won the soft boy, and he was like, "Why don't you add a 3 of 3 that's like something kind of random?" And I was like, "Okay, it's 420. I've got the soft boy. I've got this record. How can I make this kind of whole project a bit more exciting?" So I said, "Okay, I want to keep it simple.
Mm-hmm.
I love spliffs, so I said I'm going to design a spliff, and it's going to spin and float."
There it is.
And
floating.
As simple as it is, the meaning behind it is kind of what kind of I think gives it the price that I priced it at.
Mm-hmm.
And which is next 420, I'm going to basically create a way that you can burn this joint, or as NFTs, they say burn an NFT, which kind of destroys it. And you will get a newer NFT, which will kind of be, discovered later in the process.
Right.
So there's a lot of things I'm working on that are going to be kind of a part of it. This will kind of give like a kind of access to that first initial phase.
Yeah. I really like this part of the NFT thing because it's like there's a bit of a game to it, right? It's like it's not just a buy it and own it sort of thing. It's like you can have different chapters to it.
100%.
And even like a year later, you can still be playing around with the people.
Yeah, and it's going to be a way that's like, I think it's fun, and I'd like to make things a lot more personal, which is why I'm going to try to keep as many of my, I think, drops and editions as small as possible, because you see now people kind of going for cash grabs and just selling as many as they possibly can.
Yeah.
And then where's the kind of the fun in that if everybody has one of the same thing without any kind of utility or just that feeling of like, oh, I have something kind of rare.
Yeah.
So, today, for example, Duke Dumont had a drop on Nifty Gateway. And it might have updated since then, but last time I checked, one of the open editions he had only sold one. So technically that guy got a 1 of 1.
But open edition means that there's kind of an unlimited amount available technically, right?
In a certain amount of time, yeah.
Got it. I see.
So this one, only one person wanted it, and I guess technically he got a 1 of 1 for way cheaper than any of his other 1 of 1s will go.
Huh.
So there's that game and the buying side as well.
Yeah. That's really interesting.
It's quite exciting.
About. Yeah, because I feel like, for the past like 2 months, it's been a little bit of a like a Wild West situation where I think a lot of people were getting so excited by like, oh, you can sell an NFT for like millions of dollars, because there were, a handful of people that were able to do that. But
yeah, exactly.
I think now we're probably going to start seeing more of that where, I think it's great encouraging everyone to get involved if they want to, but you're probably not going to just get $1 million off the bat. It's more of like a invest your time into it, then kind of build out this marketplace now that more people are buying. And
absolutely. And I think it is like you want to create this kind of like intrinsic kind of value that's like not just based around, oh, I'm putting a song or music and a piece of art together and buy it so I can make money. It's like you want people to have some kind of emotional attachment to it. And I think that's where you can kind of tell, there's plenty of agencies saying, oh, you need a story, you need to do this, you need to follow up with this. Yeah. You can tell, I think, when it's organic or when it actually has kind of meaning with somebody. My flatmate, Too Much Lag, his kind of portrayed like his kind of journey, and it was actually called My Journey. And it was such an amazing piece, and you could tell like it wasn't something that he was like, oh, I read a book and decided to just emulate it. No, it was like something that was very personal, and there was all these elements within the pieces that showed, the real human connection to it that other people could also possibly feel just through seeing or hearing the piece. And I think a huge part that's overlooked is the the kind of music side to it, where there should be such a focus, I think, on the audio part of a visual, because it almost feels empty without it. And all of his are done by our, all the music is done by our other flatmate and some of his, and obviously some of his influence as well, because they work together on it. And you can hear kind of like the epicness and like, it's a bit loud.
Yeah, turning it down.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and like this is the open edition, so it was like the start of a journey.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
and the cool thing was is like, you know, this was an open edition. It did insanely well, and there was, you know, almost 1,600 pieces sold almost. Now they might all look like this, but in reality, what they did is something completely different, which was called a ghost smart contract. For those who are not familiar with most of the terms within NFTs,
Yeah.
an NFT is based around a smart contract, and this ghost smart contract basically attached as what they call the soul to this original token. So to keep it simple, you have one token. They created this secondary like ghost or soul of this token that actually made each serial number a one of one character.
Oh, wow.
So for visual reference, if you go to Leanime, Lena or ANIME.art, I can kind of show you a quick glimpse of it.
Let's do this.
So they built this website as like a gallery, so you can kind of see it all. So if you click on open edition or like where the image is where it says Leanime, you can click that. It does a nice little zoom.
That is a nice
and you can click on enter soul number here.
Oh, snap.
And now, for example, this is number 1. It's quite special. Type in, I don't know, a random number.
Oh, so you can see different ones, like
different serial numbers.
Like
yeah.
10.
There's 10.
Oh, wow.
So that one's different, has some rarities. If you look at one of my favorites, it's number 420.
Of course. No surprise.
No surprise there.
Okay. Yeah. Looks different.
It looks different. It's got like the 420
baby. Is that what it says on the bottom?
Yeah, on the bottom. There's like a little, like everything has its own different properties as well, which you can notice if you take the time to kind of scroll through them.
Yeah.
You can go to like number 100 quickly just to see one more different one.
Ooh.
That one has no, different outfit, but like no character inside.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing.
That I think, in my opinion, is one of the most rare ones. And the craziest thing about this is, there was this organic community built around the collectors that as soon as this dropped and they found out each character is different, has different value systems based off the backgrounds, the foregrounds, they, the community went crazy, created their own rarity system within a Discord that they started. And there's been bots that have been made by collectors to make it easier for you to kind of, not bots, sorry, but like a Chrome extension.
Okay.
That you can add to Nifty. So you can scroll through all of them and click on the extension. It changes it to all the souls.
Whoa.
So you can see the difference all on Nifty Gateway. It's crazy.
That is so crazy.
And it's never been done before.
Yeah, so I was gonna say this seems like it's like level 100 of the NFT game.
This is insane. Yeah.
Which is probably really mind blowing. I mean, it's definitely mind blowing to me. But what was that? What did that thing? That thing that just floated by on the website.
That was one of the souls.
I was gonna say, I was like, wait, I didn't click anything. Something just floated by. Oh, I see. Okay. I see them floating in the background now. Hi, Mike. Yeah. I see you. Hi, Rinzen.
What's up, bro?
One of our favorite pals, also an NFT enthusiast.
Yeah.
I don't know how to pronounce this person's name. Schweeds 2FB says, y'all put me on to NFTs. I'm right there with you, my friend, because I am being put on to NFTs right now as well.
There you go.
Well, so, okay, this is an interesting thing because I wanted to bring up this question that Blake dropped in chat earlier. Let me pull it up. He said, what do you think the longer term play is with musicians and designers in the NFT space? And independently, what is the future of producers in this space? And I feel like you were starting to talk about this because you were saying that there's a lot of thought that goes into the music that kind of outlines these pieces. Talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so by producers, do you mean music producers, video producers?
I'm guessing music producers.
I'm guessing music producers, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's the space that we're seeing a lot of friends and familiar folks getting into.
Yeah, when I first started digging deep into it, kind of with the boys, I saw a huge lack of sound. And I was like, I love this piece, but I can't hear anything. Maybe I'm biased to that because I like music.
Yeah.
But when I originally saw this, I was like, okay, there's this void where people are having a hard time, like myself. Like, I can sketch a bit, I can draw a tiny bit, but I do not consider myself like a visual artist. I think I have an eye for things. I think I like certain styles and so on and so forth. And I think on like a maybe a producer space, like from the back end where you kind of give feedback, I think I'm okay in that space. But I had trouble finding a designer to work with that, you have to gauge, who maybe has what following, what is their vibe, what kind of person are they, because you want to align yourself with people with kind of similar outlook on things when you're putting a piece of art together. And I think, and I'm sure there's a platform being produced that kind of puts the two together in a organic way that is fair for everybody, because I think the huge thing about this space is it's about sharing the spotlight, and it's not about like one huge person. It's more about like for me, one of my favorite things was being like, hey, I get to share this music with somebody visually that I loved. Yeah. And he helped like a vision of him and myself come to life. Mm-hmm. And that is gonna happen more. I think there's definitely gonna be there's a lot of studios coming in, and taking a commission of the total sales and so on and so forth.
Right.
Which, if they agree to not getting the proper credit, then that might be fine on them to do the job and have the release without their name on it, or without, the spotlight. But then there's also people that will take advantage of smaller studios that maybe want to put their name on a project.
Yeah.
And
well, that's a really interesting part about NFTs, I think, from the music side of it, because for so long in the music industry, there's been talk about, people not getting paid enough, and like, people that are actually creating the art really become like bottom tier level, like recognized in either pay or just other ways. But NFTs seem to be, and crypto, I guess, in general, seems to be like the great equalizer right now, right?
I think so. I mean, there's still a huge kind of like separation to it. But I think that's evening out. There's still like a lack of, the thing that I think is really cool to see is some of the best, in my opinion, artists are also like really talented, like so not influential in like a Instagram way, but in a way where they're able to create this positive message in a not forceful manner, that are these women that are just taking over the space and in like the best way, and progressing it with like positivity rather than a competition.
Yeah.
And I think that is a huge part about this whole space that kind of helps. And you kind of feel like a sense of community where, I'm sure I've said it a million times, but it's I call for the basketball stream we do with NBA Top Shot, like we call it the neighborhood, because it's just the most friendly kind of sense. Mm-hmm. And it feels like you're comfortable at home, so why not be comfortable in your surroundings? And the fact that all of this is based, blockchain is based off a trustless system, should allow people to trust each other. And I think that's where the harmony and kind of collaboration will kind of flourish. There's going to be some speed bumps and hiccups along the way for sure, in figuring out that kind of like harmony between the two.
Yeah.
But it'll work. And then there's also these visual artists that make insanely amazing music, or audio to their visuals. There's this guy, Euphoria. He's got some really cool pieces on Nifty Gateway as well, and some really dope projects. And he makes the music to his pieces. And he doesn't like release music as a music producer or anything like that, but he's got a profit, I believe, and some really cool tracks that have played on his pieces. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like creating a different lane of music making, right? There's like music producing for TV and for film, and now there's music producing
for NFTs,
maybe. Yeah, because it's like a short.
And
it's a very different type of media.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's going to get to the point where it's taken out of the context of just art, and it'll be more about utility. And I think there'll be, and I can't say or know exactly how, but I think the technology behind smart contracts and NFTs will be used in a very use, like a useful sense, like ticketing for events to kind of help, you know, you almost get rid of the wristband, but you still have the perfect quality memory of it. Or it could maybe work with smart contracts within like the insurance companies. So when you go to the doctor, for example, or if you go, if you need like emergency treatment and your insurance covers it, it can all be done via smart contract. So your claim and everything is submitted right when you're at the hospital, and you get your payout right away instead of waiting 10 weeks for $150 check for some stitches.
Interesting.
So there's a lot. I think there's a huge utility outside of the art world, but I think this clarity in the art world will bring it to that real world kind of use case.
That is fascinating. That definitely, I think, provides some context. I think, again, being a person that has been very casually learning about NFTs, but not really diving in head first, I think that my initial reaction was definitely to be a little skeptical, you know, because you're like, oh, like, you know, there's a lot of money flying around, and there's a lot of, especially with the talk about that you were talking about before about it being such a trust-based system. It just feels inherently very scary because it's not something that we're typically used to, right? It's more of like,
we have to question everything.
Yeah, exactly. You question everything, or like, you know, you don't trust something until it's like a big, like really well-established like business corporation or something. But at the same time, there's a lot of problems with how that has been working in the past. So it's like, why not try something new? But that's really fascinating. Someone in the chat, King Jet K, says, "Did you produce the music for Sativa Jazz?"
I did.
They said shit's so good.
Thank you. I appreciate it. The sample was from I think it's Wilson or I gotta check it out. I'll get back to you on that. On what the sample's
you gotta
from.
double check.
Yeah, it's Winston something. Winston Marsalis. That's what it is.
There it is.
I had a 420 lag from yesterday. But yeah, I got the sample and just messed around with it, put some effects. There's a vocal on it that I sampled Herbie Hancock talking about jazz and the kind of artistic process and what you should kind of appreciate about the experiences you go through and how they affect your music. And that kind of tied a lot through with putting out this NFT in general to me. And it kind of all it's so weird how it happened. So I literally came across this interview randomly, just looking for samples on YouTube, and not even vocal samples, just jazz music samples.
Yeah.
And I came across this and I was like, oh, this is great.
This is it. This is the one.
Yeah.
So tell us more about the track. It's not out yet, right? But it is coming.
So yeah, the track, it's coming out May 21st on all platforms. It's a self-release by myself. So I'm excited to kind of see how we can use maybe this NFT release to kind of see how it goes alongside a traditional music release. The last one I did was a year and a half ago. Got some good feedback, not, huge numbers or anything, but 2 years later, almost 2 years later, it got added to the Operator Spotify editorial playlist like 2 weeks ago. I was like, okay, good timing.
Well, maybe people are getting ready for some really good, like, feel good house music because things are starting to open up again, and we're getting ready to go back.
I mean, I pray so, because I've been working my butt off on some music, and I've always felt weird about putting it out or trying to figure out how to put it out, because that whole side of it just kind of gives me anxiety at this point. But
and then NFTs came, and here you are.
And then NFTs came and kind of
and
it's cool because you can kind of get the anxiety out. I think for me now, literally going through this process within the last day, I'm like, okay, I got the anxiety of putting the preview out, and it was like not the full track yet. So I was like, oh, okay, like we could do the rest now. I'll figure it out.
You're like releasing something on like DSPs now feels like easy business at this point, right?
Yeah, you just upload, check all the boxes, like yes, no, and
no one
then
has to really buy anything. They just have to play it. Like that's all.
Yeah, and now here it's like the thing is I kept all the pricing super low because I didn't like I don't want to do this NFT thing necessarily for like. I think it's going to help me kind of progress as an artist financially, definitely. Yeah. But that's not the main purpose, and that's
Yeah.
not the main kind of driving thing here. I've always had a liking towards art, but never been able to do it myself. And this has been the way that I think has created me or given me like this opportunity to collaborate and share my music with other artists that I like and artists that like my music.
Yeah.
So
well, you
it's,
are
it's definitely
creative.
fun.
Yeah, and
Thank
you're
you.
creative down to the heart. So I'm glad that now we're kind of finding a new way for people like yourself to express that.
Trying.
Okay. Last question I want to ask before I let you go to bed. What advice would you give to people who are artists, musicians, I guess, more on the music side, who are probably like me, interested in NFTs, but just getting started? What advice would you give them?
There is a guy named Loopify. I think it's www.loop-news.com, I believe. But he's Loopify on Twitter, and I think on Instagram as well. He has some great editorial stuff about the space. There's also somebody named Koopa Troopa.
I like these names.
They're great. The NFT space got some cool names for sure.
Yeah.
And kind of do some research, do some reading. I think a huge part of it is kind of supporting artists that you like.
Yeah.
And I would say look at this not as an investment, but as something that you would like to buy because you enjoy it.
Yeah.
And if the money comes from it, it'll come from it. If not, you bought something that you enjoyed. And if you like it enough, you'll figure out a way to display it. And I think a huge piece is discovering the artists here that are trying to do something for growth as an artist and progression rather than somebody who's just trying to put a roof over their heads. Nothing wrong with it. Don't get me wrong about putting a roof over your head, but
yeah.
I think you can slowly tell the difference between some of the projects that are really, really well done and thought through and the other projects that are that don't take it as seriously.
Yeah.
And doing that, you kind of see, a way to gauge the space and see, am I buying something that has not only like an intrinsic value, but also a financial value as well. And the collecting side, I think, has made it a lot fun to create because then you can create knowing kind of what's around you, and you're not going to step on anybody's toes by copying them or doing something else because we're in 2021. It's not easy to come up with an idea that's never been thought of before.
True. Very true.
So the best way is to, as we say in music, is give it a little remix and, but yeah, just do your research, support the artists. And I think if you're going to put out NFTs, make sure you collect a bit, whether it's one piece or 5 pieces. If it's something that's worth $10 or $200, do the collection side of it because it goes a long way.
Great advice. I feel like that is the best advice I continuously hear is just go out and be a part of the community, get involved, whether it's like chatting in rooms or buying art or making your own eventually. But
and just do it naturally. Don't force yourself ever. It kind of, I think it hurts you for yourself as like growth of a person. It's like if you're doing something you don't really enjoy, don't do it. If you like it, you should definitely just go do how you would anything else you're interested in. Do some research, read a bit, talk to your friends. Some friends might be like, So
great. Well, I'm lucky that you are my friend that I go to, and I'm like, hey,
I'm here for you.
Advice on what this is.
I'm here for you.
Oh, look at that! And speaking of the devil, before I let you go, shout out to Harold and Kumar Top Shop for the 100 cheer bit. Also, something you're involved in, right?
Yeah, so in the NFT space, there's this thing called NBA Top Shot. Essentially, it's digital collectibles. They're actually NFTs. It's like basketball trading cards, but they move, and there's trap music behind it. They're worth money, and they're all, if you like basketball, I love I'm wearing a Kobe Bryant t-shirt, and it's like playing games for me. It's amazing, and you can make some money trading it like any other card. So we do a stream on Twitch. I've been inspired by people like you, Val, and a few other friends who do their thing on Twitch. Probably a bit better than we've casually done it, but it's a fun little space.
It's fun in there.
It's fun. We like to have fun, man. We give away free moments and money and talk about basketball, NFTs, life. dancing, food, snacks. We love a good snack conversation or a snack vote in the chat there. So yeah, it's fun. It's cool to tie the music, and it's music, basketball, and art is everything I love, and food. So it's cool to kind of do it. Yeah, Boris Johnson said, I think at one point during the lockdown, he said everybody's got to go cyber, and I was like, fuck that. Oh, so I don't know if I can cuss on stream, but he said I was like, nah. I was like, this is BS, and here we are, cyber as hell. So
everything is digital, everything is cyber. So true.
The simulation is real.
Oh my god. Well, we'll leave on that note. Thank you so much for stopping in.
Thank you for having me.
On the NFT drop. We're so excited for you. And
I appreciate
for those watching, go listen to Sativa Jazz when it's out on May 29th. Yes. You can find all the release information on my Instagram, Twitter. And thank you so much for having me, Val. I appreciate it. Good night over there.
Talk to you soon. We're going to stream on Harold and Kumar in a bit, so
there we go.
Pop in if you're around.
After that. Maybe we'll go raid if we're still live. Okay.
Yes.
Bye.
Cheers.
All right. How fun. I feel like I actually did learn a lot about NFTs just from that. So again, every conversation I have with Sahil, aka Bana, I learn a little bit more about NFTs every single time. Cool. So now that we are educated about NFTs, and now that we have listened to Sativa Jazz several times, which I really love, it was just like had it playing in the background on repeat, which was so nice. Let's listen to other new tunes that came out this week. Some other wonderful things that came out. Again, like I mentioned at the beginning, it's an NFT week, I guess, because one of the other new tracks is this brand new tune that is from Rez and Deadmau5, who are also releasing an NFT. Theirs is definitely not the same housey vibe, as you can probably tell based on the names alone, but Rez and Deadmau5 have teamed up for this track, appropriately titled Hypnocurrency, and is out this Friday, actually. This is a preview of the collection that they're dropping alongside it. This one's coming out, like I mentioned, April 23rd on Mousetrap, but they've already released actually this collection of NFTs. Let's make it a little bigger so you guys can see it. Some info about them, of course, and this is the actual drop itself. So there's 3 different images here. The iconic Deadmau5 helmet, of course. And I believe that these were all made actually by Deadmau5 himself, and they're soundtracked by different cuts of Hypnocurrency, the track. As you can see by the little price tags down here, they're selling pretty well. One of them is all the way up to $8,231. The cheapest one is $1,000, but they're pretty cute. They're pretty interesting. Oh my God. It's really loud. I'm trying to open it for you guys, but it's really loud, so I'm just gonna leave it there as is. But yeah, so this is a new track. You have the option to obtain one of these custom pieces if you've got the cash. There are only a few editions left. I believe, yeah, it looks like CAD has 1 edition left. USD has another. And the track itself comes out on Friday. So I think we're going to see a lot more of these simultaneous music releases and NFT drops, as they like to call them. Thank you guys for saying it's a great stream. Too much lag. Shout out you. Shout out Harold and Kumar. Shout out King Jet KJ. Off to a new track that is not NFT related. This one actually is an interesting new release from the duo known as Bob Moses. They recently released this really stunning Circle set. For those who don't know, Circle, of course, is the group that brings us these awesome on-location DJ sets and streams. They recently did, I believe, their first one in Los Angeles at the Griffith Observatory. I used to live like right over there. It's fun. But this is actually the track that you're hearing. This is a brand new track that they've released kind of in tandem with this stream. And you can definitely tell that it was inspired because it's called Griffith, as in Griffith Observatory. And it also marks one of the first releases on Circle Music's new label, which is really interesting because this is the first time Circle is starting to host their own music releases. So they have established a really iconic brand, sharing these really well-produced streams. So maybe we'll be seeing more of these. The track is really cool. Very much that Bob Moses, like melodic, but like still driving house vibe. And I, of course, had to play the exact clip of it in the Circle set. Which reminds me of the last time when I was playing the Wave Dash track, and I actually managed to click directly into the part of the stream where they played the song that we were talking about. I couldn't chance it with this one. I had it like preset with the link, but the song's really good though. Different vibe from the Rez and Deadmau5 one. What's our vibe? Are we a bass crowd? Are we a Rez crowd? Rez and Deadmau5 crowd, or are we a Bob Moses crowd? Personally, I like this one out of our two so far. I do love a good Rez tune, but it's not really for me to like for like easy listening. It's more of like I'm at a festival and it's bass music time. Love this track. Let's move on over to the next one. Well, it's hard to leave this really nice view of the group inventory. All right, next tune. A brand new one from a local lady. Her name is Somi, and she has collaborated with the duo named Book of Shade for this new track called Small Talk Okay, in parentheses. For those who don't know, Somi is an LA-based Korean DJ and producer and also singer. You'll hear her vocals actually in a little bit. She's been here in the LA scene for quite a while. She's a great local talent. She's been opening at Sound nightclub, back when it was open, of course, for a while, and creating really great house tunes. Often they feature her vocals. Love this new track from her collaborating with Book of Shade. This is out on their label, Blaufield Music. And it's a good one. I'm gonna let it play out for a little. Got some good groovy tunes this beat. Mike, it's no Fisher, but it'll do. Was this about Griffith, or was this about this track? Both house tunes that are not Fisher, but it'll do. I love her vocal on this song. It's so fun. I feel like we're gonna start seeing more and more releases of actual like dance floor bangers now that, again, we are coming back to the dance floor. I feel like for the past year there was so much like down-tempo stuff. A lot of the like big house producers had to take a break because, I mean, a break in the sense is they weren't releasing. I'm sure they were still making things in the studio, but I feel like it was hard to release tracks that feel like the dance floor, feel like their best fit on the dance floor when we can go out. Which actually reminds me of the new Bless Madonna and Fred Again track. Have you guys heard that one? Where her vocal is really interesting on that one because it's the Bless Madonna basically saying like we lost dance floors over and over and over again. I think it's basically meant as a homage to COVID year and not having the ability to go out and dance. All right, I always find a perfect time to bring Mike, the producer, into the stream. So wait, pick up the cat again. Like they're bopping.
He's like, get off.
He's like, stop that. Oh, that was so great. We're all bopping behind the scenes of the tune. Okay, so you tell me which one is the favorite track. We had Rez and Deadmau5, which is out on Friday, called Hypnocurrency. Bob Moses' Griffith, brand new track inspired by their new Circle set from the Griffith Observatory. And Somi and Book of Shade, Small Talk. Okay. My vote, I think my vote's going to this track, honestly. It's fun. And I really, really honestly like this vocal a lot. So shout out to Somi. Keep an eye on her. She's a great emerging talent. Book of Shade, obviously, we know and love. We've been around for a while. Tie between this and Bob Moses. Yeah, it's honestly no fair asking Mike and I because we're into the house. I like to sprinkle in some bass music occasionally here. I know we like to keep it diverse, okay? And you know what, I'm gonna keep it on. It's really nice. But it has been another episode of the Newsfloor right here on Lost Detroit TV. Thank you for joining. Really great and interesting talk this week about all the crazy news. I just feel looking forward to seeing EDC in October, no longer in May. I was actually looking forward to potentially going in May, but I guess that won't be happening again. We'll just have to be patient. And I hope all of you guys stay safe out there. Things are coming back slowly but surely. Maybe by like summertime we'll be back. Thank you for tuning in. Shout out to Abana. I don't think Harold and Kumar are live with their Top Shot show yet, so I'll leave it up to Mike to decide where we're rating on to. I'll give a shout here in the chat still. I feel like. But thank you for tuning in. I will see you guys next week.